The Empire built a lightsaber that could fly, spin, and terrorize any Jedi survivor into submission. Then they handed it to assassins, knowing it had a fatal flaw baked right in. Today, I'm breaking down every Inquisitor lightsaber design and what makes each one unique, starting with the weapon they all had in common, the Inquisitorius standard, the spinning ring mechanism. Every Inquisitor lightsaber starts with the same blueprint. A cylindrical hand grip sits at the center of a ringed emitter, and that ring partially detaches, allowing twin red blades to rotate at high speed. The whole design philosophy was built around one idea: overwhelm Jedi survivors with something they'd never trained against, which is, a pretty aggressive onboarding strategy. The spinning created a wall of plasma that could deflect blaster bolts and overwhelm inexperienced duelists through sheer visual chaos. That half second of hesitation was usually enough. But here's where it gets fun. The spinning mechanism also doubled as a flight system. Micro repulsor lifts combined with blade rotation created a helicopter effect strong enough to lift a grown adult. So yes, the Empire gave its assassins lightsaber helicopters. Cool. The problem? The disc was the weapon's biggest weakness. Any competent fighter could cut through the ring, causing the whole thing to fly apart mid-spin. Kanan proved this, Vader proved this, and yet the Empire kept issuing the exact same model to every new Inquisitor for years. The Grand Inquisitor, Second Sister, Fifth Brother, Seventh Sister, Eighth Brother, Ninth Sister, Barriss-Offee, Marok, all carrying a weapon with a known kill switch built into the frame. But if the standard model was this flawed, imagine what the guy running the whole program did with his. The Grand Inquisitor, the prototype double blade. Before the Inquisitorius had a roster, it had a prototype. The Grand Inquisitor, a Pao-on former Jedi Knight and Temple Guard, was one of the first to receive the spinning double-bladed design that would become the program's signature weapon, and his saber came with a trick nobody else got. The hand grip could be completely removed from the ring-shaped emitter, turning that force-imbued metal circlet into a throwing disc. Basically a weaponized frisbee, which is exactly as cool and exactly as impractical as it sounds. Here's where it gets funny. The spinning emitter design looked intimidating, but the thin ring housing was structurally fragile. One clean strike from a standard lightsaber and the whole mechanism falls apart. The Empire looked at this obvious weak point and apparently said, ship it anyway. The saber met its end in 4 BBY aboard the Sovereign over Mustafar when Kanan Jarrus severed the emitter mid-fight. Both halves tumbled into the ship's reactor. Explosion. Done. But here's the real legacy. As the prototype, this weapon established both the spinning mechanism that made Inquisitors terrifying and the emitter vulnerability that would get multiple Inquisitors killed over the following decades. The Grand Inquisitor's own defeat demonstrated the flaw before the program even hit its stride, and 0 design corrections were ever made. Hey, the ring snapped in half during actual combat. Noted. Anyway, make 40 more. That level of institutional stubbornness almost makes the next Inquisitor's weapon feel quaint by comparison. Fifth Brother, the rugged industrial. The Fifth Brother is what happens when you hand a factory default weapon to someone who clearly needed a custom build. He wielded the standard double-bladed spinning lightsaber, same ringed emitter, same flight-capable spinning mechanism, 0 modifications. Basically, the mass-produced version of the Grand Inquisitor's prototype, straight off the assembly line. Here's what makes him interesting though. His character design wasn't pulled from Ralph McQuarrie's classic concept art like most Rebels characters. He was actually based on unused concept art originally created for The Force Awakens, which gave him this distinctly different visual energy compared to every other Inquisitor on the show. A bulkier, more imposing frame that screamed heavy hitter, but his weapon didn't get the memo. Vader dispatched him alongside the Seventh Sister to hunt the Spectres across multiple missions, and to his credit, he held his own for a while. But the Fifth Brother was noticeably larger than his fellow Inquisitors, yet carried the exact same standard issue saber with absolutely nothing adjusted for his size or fighting style. Every Inquisitor, regardless of species or build, got handed the same spinning lightsaber and was told to make it work. The Fifth Brother just took what he was given and never questioned it, and it killed him. During the Rebels Season 2 finale on Malachor, his lightsaber's emitter was destroyed in combat, and that was it. The strongest evidence that the standard spinning design was genuinely inadequate, worn by the Inquisitor who proved it the hard way. But if the Fifth Brother represents the dangers of accepting the default loadout, his hunting partner took the opposite approach entirely. Seventh Sister, the compact circular. Most Inquisitors got their lightsaber and called it a day. The Seventh Sister looked at hers and said, no, I want mine to look nice. Her double-bladed spinning lightsaber maintained every standard function, the rotation, the flight capability, the detachable hand grip to throwing disc conversion, all of it. But cosmetically, it was a completely different animal. 2 notably smaller blades. Ornate engravings across the ringed emitter. This wasn't a weapon someone just picked up off a rack, this was personalized. And here's the thing, she backed it up. The seventh sister was agile, acrobatic, and genuinely dangerous. She held her own against Ezra Bridger and Kanan Jarrus across multiple encounters, and at one point she briefly dueled Ahsoka Tano alone. That's not a small resume. Most Inquisitors struggle against one trained Jedi. She was juggling 3 across the course of the show and staying alive. Quick fun fact, by the way, she was voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is married to Freddie Prinze Jr., the voice of Kanan Jarrus. So every time the seventh sister and Kanan were trying to kill each other on screen, it was literally a married couple going at it in the recording booth, which is, wholesome in a violent sort of way. But here's where the elegance falls apart. Her lightsaber was lost on Malachor when Maul killed her. Same planet, same day the fifth brother died with his completely stock zero personality model. All that personalization, the engravings, the refined blade sizing, none of it mattered when a former Sith Lord showed up and decided everyone was dying. Beautiful weapon though, truly. But if the seventh sister went compact and elegant, the next Inquisitor went in the exact opposite direction. Ninth sister, the heavy hitter. Every other Inquisitor looked at their standard issue spinning lightsaber and thought, yeah, this works. The ninth sister looked at hers and said absolutely not. Masana Tide, formerly a Jedi Knight and a Dawutan, who could probably bench press a speeder, is the only Inquisitor who demanded a full structural redesign of her weapon. And honestly, it's the most interesting design evolution in the entire Inquisitorius. Her original saber was basically the Grand Inquisitor's model, with spikes slapped on each side of the wheel. Functional, sure. Intimidating, kind of. But between 18 BBY and 14 BBY, she scrapped it entirely and replaced it with something fundamentally different. Heavier hilt, wider emitter, thicker wheel. The whole thing was built like a heavy axe, which is exactly what the Jedi Fallen Order design team was going for. They looked at her comic appearances, looked at her massive Dawutan frame, and realized a standard issue toothpick wasn't going to cut it. This wasn't cosmetic. This was the first documented case of an Inquisitor getting a ground-up weapon rebuild based on their physiology and combat style. And that combat style got increasingly brutal over time with Darth Vader, because apparently sparring with Vader is exactly as safe as it sounds. Her weapon evolved alongside her. More damage taken, more damage dealt. But here's the fun part. The Aurebesh inscription carved into the wheel of her redesigned saber looks menacing. Alien script etched into a weapon of war. Very cool. Except it literally reads as a QWERTY keyboard mash. The design team just ran their fingers across the keyboard and called it a day. So the most physically imposing Inquisitor lightsaber in the entire program has complete nonsense written on it, which is, perfect. But if the ninth sister's saber was built for raw power, the next one was built for precision. Second sister, the sharpened edge. This is the most philosophically interesting lightsaber any Inquisitor ever carried, and it belonged to someone who had everything beautiful about herself systematically destroyed. Trilla Sudori was a Jedi Padawan trained under Siri Junda. She was brilliant, strategic, capable of anticipating her prey's behavior before they even knew they were being hunted. Then the Empire captured her after the Clone Wars, subjected her to torture, and broke her completely. The person who emerged on the other side was the second sister. But here's what's fascinating. Her lightsaber didn't reflect the brute who broke her. It reflected the person she used to be. The weapon was a double-bladed spinning lightsaber built around the concept of fencing and elegance. Not raw power, not industrial intimidation. Precision. Every design choice pointed back to her refined Jedi training, rather than imperial functionality. It followed the visual language Dave Filoni originally established in Rebels, creating direct continuity between the animated series and Jedi Fallen Order, but it looked like it belonged to someone who actually cared about swordsmanship, which is, not ideal when you remember how she got here. She used that elegant weapon to hunt Padawan Cal Kestis across multiple planets during the Great Jedi Purge. 3 separate confrontations, 3 escalating duels, and during their final fight at the Fortress Inquisitorius on Nor, Kestis disarmed her, seized the lightsaber, and something happened that has never occurred with any other Inquisitor weapon. He relived her memories through it, a psychometric interaction triggered by the saber itself, forcing Cal to experience Trilla's torture, her fall, her entire shattered history encoded in the metal. No other Inquisitor lightsaber has ever been given that kind of narrative weight. Most of them are tools. This one was a tragedy you could hold in your hand. But if the second sister's weapon told a story of elegance lost, the 10th brother threw the entire Inquisitor playbook in the garbage. 10th brother, the dual Dado sabers. Every other Inquisitor on this list looked at the standard issue spinning lightsaber and said, yeah, fine, I'll make it work. The 10th brother looked at it and said absolutely not. He's the only Inquisitor who completely rejected the double-bladed spinning design, instead wielding two single-bladed red Shoto lightsabers with curved handguards, held in reverse grip. And when you understand his backstory, the choice makes perfect sense. Before he was the 10th brother, he was Proset Dibs, a Jedi who served during the Clone Wars. Here's the thing about Proset Dibs. He was completely blind, zero vision. He perceived his entire surroundings through the Force, using telekinesis and heightened sensitivity to navigate combat as effectively as any sighted Jedi. He was skilled enough that Mace Windu personally dealt with him when he became a problem. Mace Windu, the guy who killed Palpatine's face. His original lightsaber was destroyed by Windu during a confrontation, and when he resurfaced as an Inquisitor, the combat philosophy had changed entirely. Dual Shotos, reverse grip, smaller, faster, more responsive to a fighter who tracks opponents through Force perception rather than sight. A spinning disc you can't even see would be pointless. Two short blades you can feel through the Force, that's a weapon built for a blind warrior. He joined Vader, the 9th sister, and the 6th brother on a mission to Mon Cala to hunt Padawan Farron Bar, and that's where it ended. Bar activated Order 66 against the fallen Jedi, and clone troopers turned their blasters on the 10th brother. Two Shotos can block a lot of things. A firing squad from every direction is not one of them. Nobody ever corrected his weapon choice or forced him back to the standard model, which means either the organization allowed more autonomy than we assumed, or they recognized that a blind man fighting through the Force needed something the spinning disc could never provide. But if the 10th brother represents the most personal weapon choice on this list, the next Inquisitor carried a saber that outlived the entire Empire. Merrick, the Weathered Relic. Every Inquisitor on this list lost their weapon when they died. Sabers fell into reactors, got sliced in half, or vanished on battlefields across the galaxy. Marok's didn't. His kept spinning. Originally designated the first brother, Marok wielded what might be the most versatile Inquisitor lightsaber ever constructed. The cylindrical hilt housed two Kyber crystals, producing red blades, but the real trick was its three distinct configurations. Crescent mode gave him a single blade. Disc mode unlocked the full double-bladed setup, and he could switch between them mid-combat without missing a beat. The lightsaber debuted on August 22nd, 2023 in the premiere episode of Ahsoka on Disney+, making it one of the newest Inquisitor weapons introduced to canon. But here's the thing. By the time we see Marok using it, the Empire has been dead for about 5 years. He's working as a mercenary for Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth around 9 ABY, still swinging the same Inquisitor blade. That makes it the longest surviving documented Inquisitor weapon still in active combat use. Every other spinning saber on this list got destroyed alongside its owner. This one outlasted the entire organization. During his duels with Ahsoka Tano on Corellia and Cetos, he switched between single and double blade configurations in real time. That's the most advanced tactical use of the spinning mechanism ever shown on screen. No other Inquisitor demonstrated that level of adaptive switching mid-fight. His lightsaber represents the first post-Imperial continuation of Inquisitor technology. The Inquisitorius dissolved, but this weathered relic kept working, which means the design was either remarkably durable or practical enough for an independent Force user to maintain on his own, long after the infrastructure that built it was gone. A dead Empire's last spinning blade, still turning. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.